Hi everyone, my name is Scarlett. Welcome to Scar Investigates. This is part 2 of the story, and if you haven't watched part 1, the link is in the description below, so you can check that out before you watch this video. In February 2020, Little Yao was diagnosed with terminal liver cancer, but his parents just found out that Little Yao was not their biological child. After a DNA search by the police, the Guo family in Zhumadian were determined to be Little Yao's biological family. So Yao contacted Guo and was planning to arrange a meeting with Guo to talk things over. But Guo thought it was a scam call because, think about it, he raised his child for 28 years, and now a random stranger called and told him that his child belonged to someone else? That would sound ridiculous to anyone. So Guo blocked Yao's phone number and removed his SIM card from the phone to avoid further disturbances from the Yao family. But in my opinion, it sounded like there was also an element of fear and denial as well. In desperation, Yao asked the police for help, and the police in Zhejiang suggested Yao to report this case in the police station in Zhumadian, where the Guo family was staying in. And in a twist of fate, the policeman who answered the call found out that the little Guo in question was in the exact same police station as the one that Yao was calling right now. So immediately, little Guo was called back to the police station. On that day, Yao saw little Guo for the first time through a video call. Little Guo looked tall and fit. And as soon as little Guo entered the police station, everyone was amazed by how alike he looks to Yao Sr. A few days later, after a DNA test, it was confirmed that little Guo is, in fact, Yao and Xu's biological child. Even though little Guo was still shocked at this entire tragedy, he acknowledged this fact and he finally met with his biological mom for the first time. With all the mixed emotions, she couldn't control herself and broke down as she was hugging her real son for the first time after 28 years. But when little Guo called her mom, she finally felt the warmth and love from this long estranged son. She also told little Guo about her dying little Yao, and she hopes that little Yao's biological mom can donate her liver to save little Yao. However, little Guo was taken aback by such a heavy request, and he said, "I think you should give my mom a call." After the call, she learned that Du also had liver cancer, and she just had a recovery from her liver surgery not long ago. This is where little Yao got his hereditary liver disease from. It's common medical knowledge that if a newborn baby is vaccinated against hepatitis B within 24 hours after it's born, the liver disease can be prevented from taking hold. However, due to the mix-up at birth, the vaccination has been wrongfully injected into little Guo's body instead of little Yao's. Since little Yao was still struggling with his health problem, his parents didn't tell him what they had found out right away, for fear of worsening his condition with additional emotional shock. Meanwhile, little Yao's parents and little Guo's parents finally met each other for the first time. Initially, the atmosphere was a bit tense because, understandably, the feelings were a bit mixed from this 28-year mistake. But they eventually agreed on the same goal to work towards, which is to try their best to treat little Yao's cancer. The parents did not realize that their tragedy has already been widely reported, and little Yao found out about himself when he was browsing his phone in the hospital. It took him a while, but he eventually realized that he was the protagonist in the article, and he couldn't accept that his mom, who had his back for the last 28 years, is now holding another son in a photo. He soon got a phone call from little Guo. Little Guo gave him some mental reassurance when little Guo said, "Even though we're not blood related, you are just like my brother." Meanwhile, Du made her way to Zhejiang to visit her real son, little Yao, for the first time. Now, two families finally reunited with their biological children, and people online were cheering for them. The two families also teamed up together and sued the hospital for reimbursement. The Guo family eventually got reimbursement for 360,000 RMB, which is equivalent to 56,000 US dollars. The hospital has acknowledged that this incident happened under their watch, but with an interesting caveat that this incident could be due to a purposeful act by a malicious party. Soon after that, people on the internet were speculating that this incident was not the result of an honest mistake. Instead, the children might have been swapped on purpose through instigation and bribery on the part of the Guo family. There is no concrete answer yet, but here are some interesting points with regards to the mother Du who raised a healthy little Guo. Number 1. Du already had a daughter before little Guo, but the daughter suffers from a permanent mental disability due to umbilical cord complications leading to oxygen deprivation during her birth. It could be the case that Du at the time wanted more than anything to have a healthy son, even if it meant resorting to unscrupulous act. Number 2. Du somehow managed to bypass all the paperwork and checks at the hospital right after the birth because the family didn't obtain a second childbirth permit from the government until when little Guo was 3. So his year of birth has been forged from 1992 to 1995. And his place of birth was changed from Huaihe to Zhumadian. Number 3. Major hospitals such as Huaihe Hospital have always had a special care ward for mothers with hepatitis B, and the babies must be separated from their moms for health observation after they're born. So it's highly unlikely this was an unconscious mistake. Number 4. There's also rumor that one of the nurses at the time was a relative of the Guo family, but the Guo denied this rumor. Number 5. As I mentioned before, the Guo family refused to take calls from Yao when Yao tried to contact them regarding the baby misplacement issue, and Guo even removed the SIM card from his phone. This might seem to be overreacting to some degree. Finally, even after they had little Guo as a precious male child in a male-centric society, he should have been treated as the family's little emperor. But there are 3 properties under little Guo's parents' names and 1 under his sister's name, but none of them are under little Guo's name. As far as the Guo family are concerned, these claims are unsubstantiated. They responded to these claims by saying that they value the legitimacy of their child's blood relation above all else, and that they would never trade away their own flesh and blood, no matter what health defects the child should suffer. With all these rumors flying on the internet, the relationship between the parents in these 2 families became slightly awkward and distanced, to say the least. In the summer of 2020, when little Yao was undergoing treatment in a hospital in Shanghai, Xu and Yao took little Guo back to their hometown to visit all their relatives. They didn't tell little Yao about this to avoid drama, but this trip was soon reported on the news. Again, little Yao's anguish was compounded by the fact that he had to learn about all these things from the internet. As the days went by, Xu and Yao spent progressively less time visiting little Yao at the hospital. Xu said the reason is so that little Yao can spend more time with his biological parents after 28 years. But some people online think Xu became indifferent to little Yao after she realized the son is not hers. All the rumors, comments, and conspiracies on the internet have caused these 2 families change their perceptions towards each other, and the interactions were no longer as friendly and genuine. In March 2021, little Yao was transferred to a hospital in Beijing and later passed away. She said she only knew about the hospital transfer after she tried to visit little Yao in the previous hospital, but she couldn't find him. And sadly, she was not able to see little Yao one last time before he died. In the few weeks leading May 2021, as a culmination of all the online conspiracies, she further included the Guo parents in her lawsuit, and she insists to investigate the truth of the 28-year children misplacement case. This story started with a bittersweet family reunion but ended as a highly conspiratorial tragedy. The investigation is still ongoing, and hopefully one day the truth can be brought to surface. And on that day, I will surely provide an update. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.